Good afternoon, everyone. We'll get everyone's attention, please. Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Childs and Mr. McLeod for bringing back a tradition that has been here at Tri-West, that hasn't happened here in the last few years, a day that we honor our veterans. Being a proud son of an Army veteran, and being an Army veteran myself, and now being a father of an Army veteran, I understand the sacrifices that are made by the men and women who serve us, but also their family members. I'd like to take this time to recognize the service members and veterans who are in our staff. And if they would please rise, and please hold your applause until the end. Mr. James Brown, Project Leadway Teacher, U.S. Army. Mr. Rodney Farmer, Business Teacher, U.S. Army. Mrs. Shelby Lowe, English Teacher, U.S. Army. Mr. Bron Mendenhall, Soccer Coach, U.S. Navy. Mr. Chris Olesic, Study Hall Assistant, U.S. Army. Mr. Anthony Serrani, Technology, U.S. Marine Corps. Mr. Mark Sullivan, Custodian, U.S. Army. And Mr. Michael Walden, Health Teacher, U.S. Air Force. If you would, please give them all a round of applause. Again, today is a special day, not only for veterans, but for their families. And again, we appreciate the band, the choir, and the National Honor Society for putting this program on for us today. Also, I'd like to say thank you to all the veterans who are watching at home. We are live streaming this, so to you, I say thank you. And if you all would, please rise as the choir sings the National Anthem.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Hello, everyone. Today, we are gathered here to honor and recognize American service members, past and present. This is a day of celebration, reflection, and remembrance, and it can be traced back to the conclusion of World War I. In 1918, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, an armistice was signed, bringing the end to the war to end all wars. To celebrate this victory, November 11th became a universally recognized day of celebration known as Armistice Day, which only honored the veterans of World War I. In 1954, after the conclusion of World War II and the Korean War, Armistice Day was renamed Veterans Day to honor all veterans who have served America in war. Veterans are recognized as men and women who have served or are currently serving in America's armed forces. Today, we honor each and every veteran for their patriotism, love of country, and willingness to leave their homes, their families, and their lives to unselfishly put it all on the line to protect our freedom. So today, it is our privilege to say thank you to all of America's veterans for their courage and exemplary service, to let them know that we are grateful and acknowledge their many sacrifices and accomplishments. Thank you.
sandy shores of Normandy to South Korean lands, from the jungles deep of Vietnam to Middle Eastern sands.
Some gave their lives, you gave your souls, came home with battle scars. This is the day we honor you, the privilege is ours. To honor you, we honor you, for sacrifices made, for courage you displayed. We honor you, we honor you, for giving us your all, responding to the call. We honor you. To some it's just a holiday, for you it's so much more. The bravery we know it took to fight some far-off war.
We'll do our best to say to you how much we owe this debt, to all who served our nation proud.
This day we won't forget. To honor you, we honor you, for sacrifices made, for courage you displayed. We honor you, we honor you, for giving us your all, responding to the call. We honor you, we honor you, we honor you, we honor you, for sacrifices made, for courage you displayed. We honor you, for giving us your all, responding to the call. We honor you, we honor you, we honor you.
It is my privilege this afternoon to introduce our guest speaker. Born in Washington, D.C., Captain Lori Turpin grew up in Fayette, Indiana, in Boone County, and then later in Brownsburg. Active in softball and 4-H, she graduated from Brownsburg High School in 1969. After high school, Lori enrolled in the nurse candidate program at the University of Evansville on a full scholarship from the U.S. Navy, earning her bachelor's degree in nursing in 1971. She then went on to receive a master's in nursing from Indiana University in 1986. Following graduation, Lori enrolled in the U.S. Navy Officer Indoctrination School at Newport, Rhode Island. Thus began a 30-year career in the United States Navy Nurse Corps. Captain Turpin graduated from the Naval War College in 1993. During her career, she was stationed throughout the eastern United States and spent overseas tours in Sardinia, Italy, Okinawa, Japan, and Sicily, Italy. She's a veteran of Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, where she was assigned to Fleet Hospital 5 with the 1st Marine Expeditionary Force. During this time, Turpin served in a variety of capacities, from staff nurse to director of nursing. Captain Turpin also had tours in naval recruiting, the Bureau of Medicine Office of the United States Navy Inspector General,
a fellowship in the office of Senator Daniel Inouye of Hawaii, and Director of Operations for the Federal TRICARE Healthcare and Insurance Program in the Northeast. Since retirement from the Navy in 2001, Lori has graduated from Ivy Tech with a degree in culinary arts. And in 2007, she was selected to be the Hendricks County Veterans Service Officer. She recently retired from that position after more than 14 years of service to the veterans of Hendricks County. Lori Turpin is a past president of the Indiana Veterans Service Officer Association. She's a member of the American Legion, the American Veterans, the Disabled American Veterans, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the 40 and 8, the Sigma Theta Tau Nursing Honor Society, the Phi Theta Kappa Academic Honor Society, and the Daughters of the American Revolution. Lori enjoys gardening and cooking, but perhaps her greatest passion is spoiling her great nieces and nephew, making every effort to ensure that she remains their favorite aunt. In 2019, Captain Turpin was named the Grand Marshal of the Brownsburg 4th of July Parade. Her awards include one of Indiana's highest honors, the Sagamore of the Wabash, as well as the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, 2 Navy Meritorious Service Medals, and 3 Navy Commendation Medals. Please help me in welcome Captain Lori A. Turpin, U.S. Navy retired.
Well, I heard some of you make a comment as you walked in that you hope this didn't go on forever. And I can assure you that I'm doing the short form of my history in the Navy. I'm really happy to be here today, and I was asked to come and tell you a little bit about my 30-year career in the Navy and my job as County Veterans Service Officer. This all began when I was 14 years old and decided I wanted to be a military nurse. After a career day at Brownsburg High School, I knew I needed a bachelor's degree in nursing to become a military nurse. After graduating from high school and working hard to complete my first 2 years in college, I was fortunate enough to be selected for the nurse candidate program that paid for everything during my junior and senior years at the University of Evansville. It was a great program. They selected about 500 nurses per year for the Navy. Some people ask me why I chose the Navy. Well, only the Army and the Navy had programs. And I have to tell you, the Navy uniforms were much better. The other thing about this program was I did have a green ID card, but I didn't have to do drills or have a uniform. So it was really a unique experience. The best part of that program, though, was I had a 3-year payback for that 2 years of college, and I didn't owe anybody $1. I didn't have to borrow any money. This means I graduated from college debt-free. After officer indoctrination school, I reported to my first duty station in Corpus Christi, Texas. We were told there was going to be a new hospital there ready and waiting for us. But when I got there, after a 2-day drive from Indiana to Texas, Corpus Christi, I saw the hospital. It was a World War II ramped, 1-story wooden hospital that had been hit by a hurricane a few years before. I worked on an open ward, which means about 30 patients were in one big room. We carted oxygen around in big green tanks, and there was maybe 1 electrical outlet for every 2 beds. This environment was challenging, to say the least. And on top of that, they had me working nights the second week I was in the Navy on active duty. For any of you that have parents that are nurses, you know how hard it is to work nights. I have to say that this experience in Corpus Christi came in handy when I was deployed to Saudi Arabia for Desert Storm, because we were working 20 years behind at that point in time. After only 23 months on active duty, I was offered the opportunity to take a billet in La Maddalena, Sardinia, which is an island off the coast of Italy. I was assigned to a clinic that took care of dependents for the sailors that were on the USS Gilmore, which was a submarine tender. A submarine tender is a ship that sits tied up to the dock most of the time, and the submarines would come for refit for supplies and if they needed anything fixed. And a highlight of that tour was I would go to the Italian hospital with some of our moms when they delivered their babies. It was a unique experience. Usually I was just watching, but the Italian midwives did a great job with those babies. And of course they had citizenship in Italy as well as US citizenship when they were born. I had one other thing that was very interesting when I went over there. I ordered a little red Fiat Spider convertible. That was the first first thing I did after I got there. There was only one problem with getting that car. I didn't know how to drive a car with a stick. And I think all of you may know that that's a manual transmission and they don't come around here, and I had never driven one before. At the time I was leaving Italy to come back to the United States, my payback for the Navy Scholarship Program was over, and I had a decision to make about whether I wanted to stay in or just go ahead and get out when I came to the United States. Well, I didn't want to come back home without a job, because I'm a very practical person. At that time, I committed to staying in the Navy and making a career. I was 25 years old. In the following 10 years, I served in many locations and have held most of the jobs in the nursing hierarchy. At mid-career, I was selected to attend graduate school, and I took the opportunity to come back to Indiana University, and complete a master's degree in pediatric nursing. At that same time, I was home for the birth of my nephew, Matthew, and I spent many happy hours with my three nieces, Leslie, Stacy, and Allison. And I'd like to say that Stacy is Stacy Zeister, and she's Piper Zeister's mother. So I think Piper's out here in the audience today. Upon graduation, I actually got to do a payback tour in Okinawa, Japan, where I worked with families and children who had handicapping conditions. They had about 4 elementary schools over there and 2 high schools, so they probably had more kids in school on the island of Okinawa than maybe we have here at Tri-West. After that tour, while stationed at Quantico, Virginia, I deployed for 7 months with the Marine Corps to Fleet Hospital 5 for Operation Desert Storm. I followed that with jobs at the Bureau of Medicine and Surgery, Inspector General. That meant I went around the world inspecting Navy medical facilities. And those facilities included research stations in Cairo, Egypt, and Jakarta, Indonesia. I went around the world on that trip. I was the director of nursing at the hospital in Sigonella, Sicily. It was a small hospital, but I had probably 100 or 150 enlisted people and nurses that worked for me there. I had a fellowship in the office of Senator Daniel Inouye, and I worked defense medical issues. That was a very challenging experience because I also had to learn about Medicare and Medicaid and a whole bunch of other health issues that were not defense related. And then I was the director of operations at TRICARE Northeast, was my last job. And that one was an extreme challenge. I owned operations, and as I said before, my basic training was as a nurse. But in operations, you own the toll-free numbers that everybody gets mad at, and we were in the National Capital Region, and we would have people from the Capitol and from the Pentagon calling us constantly during the day to ask us if the toll-free number worked. Well, I needed for them to stay off that number. As I said before, my experiences as a new nurse in Corpus Christi really helped me with my job at Fleet Hospital 5. I was the charge nurse on an orthopedic ward that would have been the ICU overflow if we had had mass casualties. It was a 1,000-bed hospital, and we downsized to 500 beds, and it turns out we were over-prepared. But the first few weeks we were there, we were scared to death because we opened the boxes to see what supplies were in there, and they were all expired. The IVs, the medicines, and there was like one stethoscope. My mom had to send me stethoscopes. There weren't crash cards for every ward. It just wasn't 1990s medicine that was in the boxes. Thank goodness we had plenty of supplies by the time the war came along, and we were very fortunate not to have many casualties among U.S. soldiers, sailors, and Marines. There are good things, there are a lot of good things, and there are a few bad things that were part of these jobs. And I was thrown into most of them with little or no preparation. As I reflect on these 30 years, I have no doubt that with all these experiences and accomplishments, if I put them on a scale and balanced it, the good certainly outweighs the bad. And I can say with confidence that I made a life-changing decision that resulted in the person that I am today. Although I really had a fabulous career in the Navy, the best job of my life has been as the Hendricks County Veteran Service Officer. I was in that job for over 14 years, and I can tell you I never did the same job for 14 years in the Navy. So I have to tell you how much I enjoyed it because I stayed there day after day. Until 2 weeks ago, I had been in the position for almost 15 years. When I took the job, there wasn't a computer on my desk, and during my time in the job, I increased my hours in the office from 12 hours per week to 28 hours per week. I also validated the need for an assistant county veterans service officer and a part-time administrative assistant. I am proud to say that upon my departure, the county service officer and the assistant jobs were made full-time. This means that they are available the same hours as all of the offices in the government center. I've helped hundreds of veterans get VA compensation for disabilities related to Agent Orange in Vietnam. These conditions include diabetes, Parkinson's, prostate cancer, lung cancer, and many others. I would certainly, I think it's a good guess to say that probably I've helped some of your grandfathers with some of these issues if they were in Vietnam. I've helped elderly veterans and surviving spouses with help moving into assisted living when it becomes too difficult to live at home. I was there for families when their much-loved veteran passed away. And most recently, I've helped many younger veterans for issues such as burn pit exposure and those who had suffered unimaginable trauma. This is particularly severe right now because so many of our soldiers, sailors, and Marines have been deployed multiple times to Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, Syria, and the list goes on of places around the world where our veterans are today. And for those who say that the VA doesn't do anything for our veterans, they're wrong. The veterans of Hendricks County received over $42 million in compensation and pension in 2020. That doesn't count medical care. That makes a difference in quality of life, and those veterans spend that money locally, which makes our county much stronger. The County Veterans Service Officer is a gateway to many state benefits for disabled wartime veterans and their children. These include a tuition and fees program to attend state's colleges and universities. This program pays for 124 semester hours at a state school for any disabled veteran's child. But they have to go to a state school. There's also property tax abatements that lower property taxes, and they're for many beneficiaries, and there are other programs like things like reduced cost fishing license and programs like that. The assistance given to these veterans can be life-changing, and that includes the benefits paid by the VA. It's been a pleasure to work with the veterans of Hendricks County. I count many of them as my friends. And I wanted to just mention Colin Powell, who passed away this past week. To me, he was a role model, and he passed away, excuse me, it was COVID, but he also suffered from many of the Vietnam Agent Orange related conditions. So, and I looked for a quote to end my remarks with, but somebody sent me a text this morning, and I wanted to read that text to you. We celebrate Veterans Day because of you and your brothers and sisters who served. Thank you. When you took the oath, you had a specific active duty time. I've noticed your commitment to our country is for life. And he said, thank you again. So that's kind of condensed what I did for, I guess, 45 years, and I loved it, and it's been hard to walk away, but it was time for somebody else to step up and do the work. So I want to thank you for your time and attention, and thank you for being here today.
We will fight our country's flag.
All right, again, I'd like to thank Mr. Childs, Mr. McLeod, our speaker, Mrs. Turpin, for outstanding program. Again, to all the veterans who are in the audience today and at home, we say thank you, and thank you to you and your family for their service. We will be dismissing here in about a minute, and I'm going to talk to you about how we're going to do this so that we don't jam the doors, all right? So basically, if we're on this half of the gym, all right, you guys are going to exit through those doors or out by the locker rooms, okay? Hold on for a second, I'll release you. You guys on this side, again, you'll go out through those doors, okay? Again, let's hear it for the band and the choir. All right, thank you guys. Have a great day.